We are picking up on the spicy and the hot word. Kim used the word spicy a couple of minutes ago, right? In a story she was telling. And we like this spicy word. And we like the word hot. We feel like what is happening right now on planet Earth is spicy and hot. It's funny to us that we have these words because we know, well, in the northern hemisphere, we're moving into cold. And in the southern hemisphere, we're moving into hot, right? And so for part of the world, it is the heat, the physical heat, but we're not talking about a physical heat. We're talking about a spiritual heat and we're talking about a heated fallout. There was a moon this week and she was power and she was joy and she was delight and she was breathtaking. People had been talking about the moon, and Kim hadn't seen it for a couple of days. And then she was driving home from Newark, Delaware, and she saw it. She came around and hit the highway. And the moment she hit the highway and the wide open space that the highway created, the moon was sitting on the horizon, big and tall. And Kim turned off her radio and she looked at the moon sitting on the horizon as a big, giant orb. And Kim wanted to hug it. She was so excited to see it. And she actually said, Diana, welcome. You are welcome here. And then she started to cry and was like, I am so grateful for your power and your beauty. I am so grateful for who you are and for what you're transforming because this moon is a transformative moon. For the next, they follow these things, right? The next time the moon comes around in this particular place, right? There's like 6 months and then there's fallout for a while. But this moon is a moon of truth. This is a moon of revelation. This is a moon of exposure. So Kim was in Abu Dhabi in March of 23, and she was outside reading a book at 12, 11 o'clock in the morning in March, and the book melted and fell apart in her hands. And she like looked down at her phone to find out how long she had been outside for, and the phone had turned off because it was too hot in March. At like 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. And so Kim found that really funny. And she found the sun in that particular part of the world to be punishing. She thinks of her sun here as friendly. Her sun in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area, is friendly. It's got gentleness to it. It's got warmth. She goes outside and she like is like a cat and she turns her sun to the face to the sun and closes her eyes and like in the sun because she really appreciates it. But she also knows that there's this other side to the sun that is punishing and cruel and unkind and overwhelming. And people who live in desert areas know this sun well. They have experienced the droughts. They have experienced the hardships from the fierceness of the power of the sun. And when that orange moon had risen, Kim really fell into the peace of the fullness of the glow of the moon. And she was in a space at one point as she was driving where the moon glow was over a piece of water. And she's trying to figure out if it was the ocean or if it was a river. And to us, we don't care. To Kim, she thinks it matters, but we have to tell you it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But to her, she thinks this is important. This is important information. All we want is to reiterate the beauty of moon glow on water. Sun glow on water causes blind spots. It causes orange and red and green inside the eyes. Moon glow on water does not cause such pain. And so, and sometimes sun glow on water like causes problems, right? It causes glares, and people often at the beach are wearing sunglasses, right? Whereas you don't need sunglasses for moon glow. This moon, it's like, mm, it's like this scene from a movie, but like you might not have seen it because it was like the 80s or a 90s movie, and it was called The Abyss. And in the abyss, part of the water comes up and becomes like sentient, right? And it creates a funnel of itself, like a channel of itself, a small, like side of a pipe, but the pipe isn't there. And it's able to move around, kind of snake, but it's water. And kind, but honest and exposing. And it moves around with gentle silence, right? And it reveals in gentle ways and interacts in kindness, so long as you're not evil. If you're evil, that water's not very nice. But if you've got a good heart, that water is gentle and playful. And so what we're saying is what is being done to hide from the sun, so that the bright light of the sun is not shining down on all of the things and all of the secrets. And the sunlight is like glaring, but it's not kind. And so it doesn't, we feeling like it doesn't have, everybody's in hiding from it, right? You wear sunglasses when you're in the sun. You wear suntan lotion when you're in the sun. You like the sun, but you don't want the full power of the sun, right? You want to like wear hats and you sit under little tents. You want to be in the bright light, but you also are sheltered and covered. Kim always wears a rash guard, a rash shirt when she's out in the sun because her skin is so delicate from the chemo. She has to. So like Gidget, where she like LaRue in Gidget. She doesn't even know who this character is. She just knows that she's always like covered up because she can't be in the sun. And that has become Kim. She doesn't see the sun as being kind, except sometimes, right? The moon for Kim is always kindness, whether the moon is in hiding because she's like old and new, but she's also cycling. And so in this particular full moon with the full light of the moon, this particular light of the moon is going to move and continue to shine down, which doesn't make sense because we know that like cycles change and this might be hard for little human brains. But the light of this moon is like sending out tendrils the way that water sent out the tendrils to go out. And the light of this moon is continuing through in like a metaphorical way. Its energy is sending through into what is hidden and is exposing it. And the light of this moon is coming through into big corporate administration, like government, and it's revealing the secrets. So there are some things that people have been asking for big. We're getting the words like Epstein files, right? That people are asking for. There are other people who are asking for transparency from election numbers from 2024. There are people who are asking for transparency about what's happening with ICE. There are people who are asking for transparency in general. And then these are things we know that people are asking for, right? But there are other things that people who are on the inside are asking for transparency on that we don't even, that the media hasn't even picked up is a thing that needs transparency. We know what we're seeing that needs transparency, but you don't even know all the things that need transparency. And so the moon glow that came out a couple of days ago is sending the energy waves of individuals inside of situations and is encouraging them, rising them up, lighting the fire in their belly that cannot be squashed. In fact, it is like adding fuel to the fire inside their belly. So they're actually becoming inflamed with the knowledge that is inside of them that they have been tasked to hold silent on. And there are people who are rising up to say, this is what I know, and this is what I saw, and I understand I could get in big trouble for saying this, but I'm saying it anyway because people have a right to know. This is what the moon is doing. That moon power that Kim was like, you're so beautiful, I just want to hug you. The reason Kim was able to hug that moon is because she's got nothing to hide. She like shares herself regularly. And if it did expose something inside of her, she would turn to her friends and say, I need help because this is what's been exposed, which she's been doing in the past couple of weeks. about fairy tales and the truth of them, and about how she's afraid of who shows up for her, and how she's afraid about like the lies of the world and how they're affecting her. She's open to how these things are happening for her. She's not lying about them and she's not hiding them. So when things are getting exposed in her, she's not covering it up. She's being real and authentic about it. And if you're reading her emails, you know this. And so, because Kim is open and transparent, this moon is not scary to her. It's not making her feel any kind of way because she's already living authentically. And so she's able to embrace something that is encouraging her just to be herself. And she loves that. Like, thanks so much for seeing me for who I am. But for people who can't be themselves, who wear a mask, who are parts of cover-ups, who are lying regularly, this moon was highly uncomfortable and almost brutal. It was, for them, this moon was the sun in Abu Dhabi that was punishing and harsh and required sunglasses. For people who don't want to expose, for people who are paid to keep secrets and lies, people who are expected to hold a specific line. This moon was terrifying. This moon felt like, you know how I said the water moved around like a snake but had much more kindness? This moon for them was a snake, where they were like, I don't like it. It's really uncomfortable and I don't want anything to do with it. Well, what's happening is their uncomfortable becomes something they can't run away from. And their conscience and their higher selves are working on them, because everybody has their higher selves working on them right now. Everybody is in a moment. Every human on this planet is beginning to have the fire of honesty, integrity, character lit. And as a result, you have some people who are becoming more brash and bold on the negative side because they can't handle who they really are. And you have other people on this side who are having some mental health anxiety concerns because they don't know what's going on and they feel like they're out of their minds. And then the people who've already been working on this stuff are like, oh, I'm just going to expose this little bit. But those who have been running, they are actually only going to find peace when they start talking. And as a result, their higher selves are going to light them up to tell the truth. And when they start telling the truth, even if it means they're being persecuted or they get, like, it makes me think of Snowden. It makes us think of Snowden, who is the guy who like let out all the wiki files, right? He let out all the wiki files and then he had to flee the country and he's like hiding in Russia now. I don't know if he's still in Russia, but the last I heard he was in Russia. And so there are people who are already preparing for where they're going to go after they reveal what they're going to reveal, and they're lining up their protective moments because they know that what they have to say will be as detrimental to them in this particular regime that we have going on. However, on top of that, around that, near that, right? When they reveal what they have to reveal, it is going to cause so much, right, for the people that it is going to be transformative. It's going to be transformative. And in the next couple of weeks, those fires that were lit 2 or 3 days ago are going to become incendiary to society. And we will be seeing, I don't want to say like anything sounds warfare. It's not going to be warfare. There won't be warfare. But what it will be is it will be foundationally transformative, that people will across the board say, we can't move forward from here the way we were. It has to be transformed 100%. What was before cannot last and cannot stand. And it will almost be like the people who are in office will become like the founding fathers coming together to rewrite all policy, because what has happened will be so destructive that they realize that what they had isn't going to be okay anymore. And they will be like, we need to be a completely different society. And it's coming. we want to say the truths are going to come out in weeks. The fallout of that is going to take a little while for the change and the rumbling but the end goal will be people coming together, because right now we're completely divided. The end goal will be people will come together across the aisle, across colors. It will be completely, to use a term, it'll be completely purple, right? It'll be completely purple, because what gets exposed will expose both sides to be wrong in so many ways. And so they will need to create something brand new. And we also want to say that that is not just on a macro level, because we've been talking macro this whole time. We've been talking macro this whole time. We want to say this kind of stuff is happening on the micro level in people's homes and lives as well. That moon brought in fire. That moon brought in truth and brings in, I can't live in the dichotomy of this lie anymore. And that is going on in people's individual lives, inside of their relationships, inside of their homes, inside of their work jobs, inside of just their basic going to and fro. And so there are things that are going to be coming out, not just on the macro level that changes all of society, which is coming. There's also going to be stuff that's happening on the micro level individually, where people are like, I am no longer willing to be this person. And so if you are hearing this and you know that there's a fire in your belly, and that fire in your belly is a new fire, and you're like, I've never felt this way before, I've never seen these things before, I've never, like, it might be I've known these truths for a very long time and I was fine with them, and now all of a sudden I'm not fine with them. And you find yourself hearing my words, our words, and you are feeling like, I don't know what to do with this feeling that I've got now. You don't know what to do with it. We want to say, one, sit, don't do anything rash, plan it out, decide who's the most important people that you go to first. And that might be to like trusted advisors and friends before you step up and out into something bigger, right? And it may be that you go to the person it is with the most. So if you are really struggling with the fact that, like, as an example, you haven't been faithful to an individual, you may decide to go to that individual and say, I can't live with what I've been doing, and I had been okay, but now I'm not okay. And I need you to know my truth. And I'm sorry if this hurts you, but I'm sorry I've been hurting you all along. And now I'm coming to you and being completely honest, because I can no longer live with who I've been. And so we want to hold space for the beauty of those truths. And we want you to know that you are transforming and you are rising up and you are becoming a better human as a result of this. And your opportunity now becomes, you either turn to the light that feels really good and you own it and you share it and you transform, or you turn the fire down and you don't do that. And that is also a choice. You can do it. We wouldn't recommend it. We would say, don't do that. But you do have that choice to say, I won't go to the person I've been cheating on, and I'm not going to tell them that because I'm too ashamed. I'm not going to bring this into the light. It doesn't hurt them. It's only going to hurt them, and it's not going to help them, and it's not going to be okay, and it's not going to be blah, 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 like all the human words that go along with it. And then you choose not to go in that route. And we are going to say that is going to hurt you even more, because then you're adding a cover up to something that you now know and feel is a cover up. And that is going to have soul ramifications. Up until now, it's just been a thing you're doing and it doesn't have soul ramifications. But when you get lit by the fire that says, this is wrong and I should own it, and then you decide not to own it, you are actually creating soul issue for yourself. And what your team decides to do that with you, that's to your team. And so we say, be bold and brave. And it might feel like the hard thing to do, to be honest, and to speak up and say what is your truth. It might feel really uncomfortable, and it might feel like, well, I might lose this person. I might lose this relationship. I might lose this job. I have a friend who came forward and owned that she was struggling with alcoholism, and she had owned that she had been drunk on the job, and she got fired from her favorite job for owning her truth. And that might be the case, but she can now live with herself because she's not lying to anybody anymore. And so there might be some negative fallout from being totally truthful, but that negative fallout is not inside your soul. That negative fallout is only in your circumstances, and then you learn and grow from there. And so we encourage you to listen and heal and hear and be bold and not be afraid, and know that whatever happens is exactly what is supposed to happen if you are stepping out and being honest. If, however, you are lit by a fire, to step up and you squash that fire out and you put water on it and you create ashes on the inside, you are actually dimming your own light, you're dimming your own power, and you're dimming your own potentials. And it will keep you stuck. And we're also going to say it's not necessarily going to stop the consequences, because what's going to come out is going to come out anyway, and you might as well own it. You might as well just own it, because they're going to find out anyway. They're going to find out, and then it's going to be worse that you didn't own it to begin with. So just go be honest. Go be truthful. Go live in your truth boldly without shame, right? Because you did it before. You did it without shame to start with, or maybe you did have shame. Own it and say, yeah, if I screwed up. And just know what is happening on the micro level, to bring it all full circle, is happening on the macro level as well. And so we are going to come into a time where people are going to be exposing big, scary, overwhelming truth about things that are happening in the government that are going to make people say, this is over and we need to do something completely different. Do not be surprised if the Constitution gets rewritten. Do not be surprised if they redo the way government is done completely as a result of what happens in the next few weeks. We are not going to war. We are not going to civil war. What is coming is going to be so enlightening and so almost like you take a breath in, because there's a lot of people just holding their breath right now. It'll make you feel like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. And then it'll make both sides, because there's such a dichotomy right now, it'll make both sides feel seen, supported, and understood. And it will be life-changing, and it will also be planet lifting. Emotionally planet lifting. People will have more hope, they'll have more joy, they'll have more excitement. And some of those things that you are always waiting for, like that shoe to drop, or there's always something else, or there's always another problem, or, not one thing, it's another, right? All of those statements will no longer apply. It will break the power of those fear statements. Because we're always like, they say these things about one side and then the other side, and they argue and they're like, well, this person says this, and right? All of that nonsense chatter will actually become, people won't know what to say on TV because they say all these things over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, these things will no longer have the power that they had, because the truth that comes out will negate everything that they've been saying. And they will no longer even know what to say on TV to make people to make their story. They'll be like staring at the teleprompter, not even sure what to say. It will be amazing. We're very excited for it. And that's a little bit down the line. We have to have the fallout first. And the fallout is coming. And it's going to have the power of an atom bomb. But obviously, we're not going to war. We're not going to war. But it's going to have the power of an atom bomb. And the fallout on that is going to literally rock the world, because the truth that is coming out that people have to say because of this nice, sweet little moon glow, this nice, sweet little moon glow that came out as light to expose, is lighting the fire of truth. And we are so excited to watch it. Do you guys have any questions on this? No.
I love that. So the moon that was just here is, and Pluto's here, right? So Goddess Isis always talks to me about the ascension, and there are things orchestrated. So like in the very beginning, Kim, you might like this. She said, Isabelle, sit at the table. You are being served a 7-course meal.
Mm-hmm.
And the dish is from spirit.
Yes.
And you might have a little leeway where you want the salad versus the cup of soup, or you want the chicken or the beef. But really,
No, no, I
it's a,
want venison.
yeah, or the venison, right? But it's a set meal.
Yeah.
It's orchestrated. So what I'm hearing from the fairy team is that there is something coming,
Oh yeah, it's big, big,
and it's big.
big, big. It's going to change. It's going to change the way people see everything. It's going to change the way
Mm,
people see organizations and corporations. It's going to change the way people see money. It's going to change the way people see power. It's going to change the way people see. It's like going to have the effect of the French Revolution without people getting guillotined.
yes,
There will not be guillotines involved, right?
right.
I don't even know that there will be like storming the Capitol like there was on January 6th, right? There will be though a sense of, okay, some news channels and they tell you one thing, and you watch other news channels and the spin is so wildly different. It's like you're looking at
Mm-hmm.
two different events.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the same event. They're like two different, completely different events, and you're like, wait, that's not my understanding of that event. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
flip from watching your news channel to the other side, you're like, wait, that's not even what is true. And so both sides are like believing things that aren't true on some levels. And so what's coming out is so obviously truth. So they say that there's when a couple is having a problem, right? And you get them into couple therapy, you have the person A story. I don't want to say the man because that's, that it's not,
Right.
if it could be a same-sex marriage, it could be a heterosexual marriage, like it doesn't matter. You've got the first person story of what happened in the events that led up to their problem, and then you have the second person story of what led to their problem. They're not the same story. There are two different stories, right? And then
Right.
and then you have the story in the middle, which is the
Yes.
truth of what actually happened. What
Right.
is coming out is people are going to say what their truth is. And the more truth we get of people literally saying, this is what I experienced, and this is what I was told, and this is what happened. And there isn't a spin on it. It's not like I'm trying to convince you. I'm just telling you the story of what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
The more people that come out and are going to come out, because there'll be one or two that will stand up and say, this is the story of what happened to me. And then because these two stood up, somebody else is going to say, oh, I'm going to come up and tell my story too. And then somebody else will be like, I'm going to tell my story to back those two people up. If those two people are not brave enough, then I'm going to be brave enough. And it's going to be like an ocean wave that comes up and over. And so this truth that comes in is going to be so large that you can't ignore it.
Mm.
Can't push it away. You can't say it didn't happen, right? It's going to be so obviously the truth because this person's story is going to line up with this person's story, is going to line up with this person's story. Whereas right now, this person's story on the blue side versus this person's story on the red side are so wildly different stories. You're like, I don't even know if you guys were at the same event. Right. I don't
Right.
even know if you saw the same thing. Right. But these other people that are coming forward who are just like, no, I've got the fire in my belly that the moon gave me. And now I have to tell the truth and I have to live with myself. Oops. And I have to live with myself, right? And because I have to live with myself and I have to put up with myself and I have to like feel inside my body and be inside my body, I'm coming forward with my truth. And then enough, two, three, four people do that. You will then see a tidal wave of people who were a part of this go, I'm speaking my truth too, because I'm not going down with that ship. I'm going to tell my truth. And then they'll be inspired to tell their truth. And so many people are going to come forward with their truth of what happened that it's going to overthrow the power of like the facade of who has power. Because
Mm.
who has power right now is just a facade. So what we just showed Kim is when Kim was younger, her mom wanted to go to Atlantic City. So Kim and her mom went to Atlantic City and they went into a bunch of casinos. And every casino was the same for Kim. She was like, and her mom was like, aren't they great? They're just so great. They're so beautiful. These buildings are so amazing. And Kim the whole time was like, sure. Yeah, kinda. because Kim could see that, like, yeah, it was like a pretty room, but like Kim would be like, there's a crack in the wall over there. Or she would be like, did you see the workers who are working like 24 hours a day and barely getting paid to work here? And are you seeing like how asleep everybody in the casino is? Like everybody in the casino is just asleep. And Kim was like, this isn't great. Like you scratch beneath the surface and like all it is like a pretty building with a whole bunch of lies. And that is what is going on in the power structure. It's just a pretty building. And it's crumbling like the East Wing. And it will continue to crumble like the East Wing as people stand up and say, this is my experience of what happened in the election. This is what happened in my experience with we don't even we can't reveal what it is, right? There aren't words for it. We see the truths inside of people as lights, and there are hundreds of lights being lit up, and the truth that they are going to come out with, we feel it, and it's overwhelming.
Mm.
Yeah. Hmm.
What was when the COVID virus occurred? So my team told me something was coming, but as the human Isabel, I had couldn't even fathom it. This is what this is, right? We can't even fathom it.
It's actually, I mean, the COVID virus, the COVID virus was an opportunity for a reset.
Yes. Yeah.
And some people reset.
Yes, some people
Some
really
people
did
did.
resign.
Some people really like embraced the opportunity. Do you know
Mhm.
how much Kim loved the pandemic? Like, we're just gonna tell on her right now. She loved the pandemic. She loved it because she no longer had FOMO.
Mhm.
She knew everybody was inside their house. She was inside her house because we had her inside her house and we were training her. And then she felt really bad because all these people were going to bars and playing games and like having parties and like going out. And then she didn't have to worry about what anybody else was doing. And because she lived in that for 2 years, because nobody was doing anything, right? She no longer has FOMO when people go out. She like was able to drop that other people are going out and playing and I'm not going out and playing thing. She also used the pandemic as an opportunity to really get into meditation. And she like spent sometimes an hour a day for months. And as a result, she was able to get into the vortex regularly and she was able to grow the vortex. And by doing the field, whatever you want to call samadhi, that sweet spot right inside of meditation. And now she can hop in it. She just gets in meditation and she's in it immediately. She doesn't have to wait to get into it. And so, what we want to say is Kim used the pandemic as an opportunity, right? And there are people who did that, who are like, I'm going to use this and I'm going to start a new company that like teaches people how to make bread or teaches people how to crochet or like, right? And as a result, they like made a completely different life for themselves. And it was slower and it was kinder and it was gentler.
Mhm.
And there are other people who just continued to plod along and didn't take it as the reset that it was. The pandemic was an opportunity, and not everybody took that opportunity.
Mhm.
What is coming is bigger than the pandemic because
Mm.
it's going. So the pandemic was global. Every country was touched by it. Nobody escaped the sickness, right? It was a global sickness that actually started before
Mhm.
the said March date, right? It was out way before then. But we also want to say what is coming isn't going to have a physical body sensation attached to it. other than if you're somebody who's being lit up to tell the truth, you're having body sensations. But like if you're just like somebody who's like watching the fallout of this, the fear is a potential, and we're saying don't get it wrapped up in the fear of it. Um, and just know you're riding a wave. Sometimes that wave will take you under, but the more you're able to flop around and let the wave just, we're not talking about a riptide, we're just talking about a regular wave, right? And even with a riptide, the more you relax into a riptide, the more it will dump you on the beach when it's time to be dumped on the beach.
Mm.
If you fight a wave or a riptide, you hurt yourself and you exhaust yourself and you make it worse. Just tumble along with it, right? And it will drop you on the beach. You may have lost your bathing suit. I'm really sorry if you're embarrassed, right?
Mhm.
But like, you'll come out okay.
Mm.
Unless you are somebody who's being led and lit up to share your truth and you're being put in that spotlight, there's really no reason to get super ripped up about what's happening because it's all going the way that it's supposed to go, and it's all going to fall out the way that it's supposed to fall out. And just
Mm.
breathe your way through it. Unless you have a part to play, there's nothing you need to do. And the less you're in fear, the easier this will be.
Okay.
And will it be every country gets affected in a way, in the way that, like, when the United States went into revolution, it was like felt around the world, and that's what brought on the French Revolution. And then
Mm.
that's what brought on the change in England from a monarchy to a more parliamentarian state, but they still have a monarchy, right?
Mm.
And like, and kind of the way that like the fall of Russia and the fall of the Berlin Wall led to the fall of Russia, right?
Mhm.
That's how this is going to have a global impact. And that is
Mm.
energy will be such that other governments are going to be exposed. So it's not just the United States government that's going to have the fallout of this. There will be
Mm.
other governments that have the same kind of truths that come up, and people are going to be like, I can't live in this anymore. And so you will see it happening in all the countries. Some of them will try to hold on to the silence longer, like Russia. Well, the United States is definitely going to try and hold on to the silence as long as it can, but they won't
Mm.
be able to stop it because the free speech here, they won't be able to stop it because of the free speech. But in China and in Russia, where there isn't as much free speech, they will try to stop it a lot more, but they won't, again, they won't be able to because this is so much bigger than them.
Mm.
And it is actually the start of, I know this is gonna, whoa, okay. It's way bigger than we even thought, in that it's going to include, you know how NATO is all of the representatives coming together to like create peace in the area? This is
Mhm.
actually, there's going to be a need, they're going to see a need for a world government, in the sense that like intergalactics, and they need to be able, we need to be able to be unified as a globe. But each
Mm.
country will also have its own structures, right? You'll have your own structures in each country, but there will also be an ambassador to the world vision, because the world vision needs to be able to present globally, intergalactically.
Yeah.
There's like two different things going on, and they're kind of happening around the same time, which is really going to send people into a loop. I can't believe I just said all of that.
Wow, that's awesome. Um,
Because Isabel, you're definitely way more into intergalactic stuff than Kim is.
I know. The rest of us are just like, okay.
Okay. I'm not really into Kim is not really into intergalactic stuff.
Ugh.
We definitely just showed they definitely, whoa, there's definitely going to be a need for like a, these are the people that like communicate out there, right? That are represented, a lot of the countries of the world will be in that as like a council.
yes, we're moving into the council like with the rest of the galaxy. So
But
I,
the
well,
planet, but the planet, each country will still have its own stuff going on. So there will be two
Yes.
different kinds of like things. There's the Intergalactic Council that presents
Yes.
the universe. And then there's going to be the way that the countries do government individually, because we're not going to lose our individual countries. We're not going to become a unified world in that sense.
No, no, because they still want the variety and the different perspectives,
Yes.
but it's also a training ground.
Yes.
It's respecting,
And
because if you can respect different cultures on this planet Earth, and then you can respect the different cultures in the galaxies.
galaxies. And so, like we said, what's coming for red and blue is going to shake up red and blue so much that the whole country will just become versions of purple.
Well, great. I'm preparing the best way. I mean, you know, I
But the
understand.
only best way to prepare is
It's just sort
is
of, you know,
just to pull out the surfboard
yeah,
and find which wave is the one you're going to ride
yeah,
as you get taken into the beach. Because that's really all you can do, unless you're somebody like Jasmine Crockett or AOC or not that we have, right, or Mike Johnson, right? You're gonna have, unless you have some sort of power, right? Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, unless you've got a name and you're doing the work already, all you need to do is pull out a surfboard and the popcorn. That's all you need to do. And speak your truth when you're led to do it on your level. Whatever your level is, speak your truth and be
right.
honest about your circumstances because, like we said, you're still going to get exposed no matter what. You're going to get exposed no matter what. So you can either get exposed on your terms or you can get exposed on somebody else's terms. And let us
Hmm.
say it will go so much better for you if you expose yourself than if you
Hmm.
get exposed. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have spent time with you.